Hey everybody, it's Walking Man Walks back in the Philippines. Exciting trip in Bali and Malaysia. I love traveling around Southeast Asia, but now I'm back and I'm here with a video about a day in the life of an expat living in the Philippines. So I usually start my day, I get up, listen to the news, do some work. I usually get up around 6 or 7, and then maybe I'll head down to the market and get some fresh food. It's just a short walk from here down to the wet market. I know not all Americans are familiar with wet markets, but it's where you get the fresh vegetables, fish right out of the sea, pork, chicken, anything that's available will be at the wet market. Fruit, papaya, oranges, that kind of stuff. So one of the reasons I love the Philippines is like when I'm walking down to the market, people say hello to me, good morning. I live in the province here, so most people know who I am. You stick out like a sore thumb when you're a Westerner here, but everybody's real friendly. The tricycle drivers, the market vendors, everybody. It's not like a tourist area where everybody's trying to sell you something, which is nice. So there's a little bit of that at the market. Like there's always this lady that sells salmon. They call it salmon here, but it's actually mackerel. But it's one of the fish I like to eat. And every time I walk by, she'll be like, "I have salmon for sale. I have salmon for sale." But she doesn't harass me about it. And you will get that. Like one of the things, I was just in Bali, and Bali is a major tourist spot. I mean, it's overrun with tourists. It's a great place, but if you go to the beach there, I mean, there's locals, and I understand they're poor and they need the money, but they'll just like harass you and harass you till you buy a bracelet. Actually, I did buy a bracelet. So they'll harass you till, you buy something from them to the point where, it's annoying. Like I went back to the same beach the next day and it was the same two ladies selling shell bracelets and stuff. And I told them I already bought it, but they were saying, buy more. And they just followed me around the beach and they kept harassing me. And that I find completely annoying in some of the tourist spots. And Boracay here is like that. Everybody's selling the same junk and they'll follow you down the beach. And, it's not like I mean, these shell bracelets and stuff were handmade, but a lot of the stuff is stuff that they bought off the internet from China, and they're just trying to sell you on the beach. I don't have to deal with that here in the province of Dingras, which is really nice. So anyway, I get up in the morning. I usually listen to the news. I'll listen to like maybe NPR from the States or watch some YouTube videos, maybe do some writing, work on my channel a little bit, my next video, what I want to say. Then I'll head down to the market. And the culture here is, most people don't have refrigerators, so you don't buy tons of food. I mean, my girlfriend will go to the market and I'll send her there to buy a week's worth of stuff, but we usually always need to supplement. And I like going and walking down there. It's only a few blocks away, and walking around the market. And on the way to the market, there's a guy who sells buko, which is coconut water with a little sugar in it. And I've been seeing him for 2 years now. So every time I walk by, he's like, buko, buko. It's like 10 pesos. It's really good. It's sweet, but it's good. So I get it once in a while. So maybe I'll get a buko, go down to the market, buy some fresh fish. I've been on a major fish thing lately. I cut out rice out of my diet. I noticed eating rice every day here is definitely not good for you. It's white rice, it's super high on the glycemic index. I also know my landlord, and I'm meeting more and more people in the Philippines who are getting diabetes from like their sugary diets and the massive amounts of rice they eat. Filipinos consider it not a meal unless there's rice. But since my girlfriend had her episode with her what's it called, endometriosis, which is, if you don't know, it's a cyst on her ovaries. It's only on one of her ovaries, and the doctor said she has to cut out sugar, white rice, most caffeine, all this stuff. So it's made it a lot easier for me to stop eating white rice. I mean, I do feel better. I used to be a vegetarian, and you come to the Philippines, it's nearly impossible to be a vegetarian because it's, there's almost no cheese. There is cheese. You can find cheese, but like at the Robinsons here, local to me, cheese is a little more than it costs in the States, but plus you don't want to eat like a cheese diet. Yeah, for a vegetarian, cheese is a big deal. Not a vegan, because vegans don't eat cheese. But what I'm trying to get at is if you're a vegetarian here, you're gonna end up eating tons of rice, and that's worse than eating meat. And plus, most of the meat here, it's free range chickens. And I know I've seen guys on other channels, they have issues with the meat, but here in the province, free range chickens, fish that was just caught that morning. And if you stick with the smaller fish, they haven't, uploaded the mercury and the heavy metals that are all over the ocean. But, the pollution in the world, it's just hard to get away from no matter where you are. But I would say overall, the meat here is more healthy than the meat in the U.S. They have a chicken here called what is it, the native chicken. And the native chickens are like lean chickens, and they're a little tougher meat, but they're like super healthy to eat. They cost a little more to buy at the market. My girlfriend's mom raises native chickens, so usually when I go there, she makes my favorite dish, tinola, which is basically chicken soup, except it's made with like papaya as the vegetable in it. And the native chickens are definitely healthy to eat. So anyway, I'll go to the market and then I come back here. By then, my girlfriend's usually up cleaning or cooking lunch, and I'll change and go to the gym. Unfortunately, it's about a 20-minute ride to the gym here on my scooter, but most mornings it's not too bad because it's the province. It's not crazy traffic. So I'll go to the gym, work out for an hour or two. Yesterday I actually went to the gym and I ran into my friend JV there, who's a local, and we ended up talking for like an hour before I even got to work out. So it's a good place to socialize with locals. I mean, the locals are super nice. Now, the Filipinos, they have a much different lifestyle than me, obviously. When I'm here, I'm semi-retired, not working. But most of the Filipinos, they get up, whether they're a jeepney driver or a tricycle driver or a vendor or a farmer. The farmers I know get up and they'll work the rice fields from 6 to 11 and come home for lunch from like 11 to 1. I mean, it's definitely a hard life. It's what my girlfriend's mom and her husband do. And then they'll work in the rice fields from like 1 till 6. And then here in this area of the Philippines, by 6, it's pretty much dark, and that's their day. The jeepney drivers and the bus drivers are like long haul. They do like a 15-hour run or a 12-hour run, and then they'll sleep where they end up, and they'll do like the 12 or 15-hour run on the way back. I talked to the bus drivers. I just took a long bus trip yesterday because we went to Christmas sister's house in Agao, which is in La Union, halfway between Manila and here. And, normally I'll take the 1 hour flight from Manila to here, which is, really nice because it's just 1 hour. They basically get up to altitude. And then once you get up to altitude, it's like, okay, we're coming in for a landing. It's not a long trip at all. But the bus can be 12 to 15 hours because it goes through some really congested areas. It stops a million times. The buses here, if somebody's just on the side of the road waving their hand, they stop and pick them up. They all have really cold air conditioning, which is good. I mean, it's so cold you need to wear a jacket, but at least you're not sweating your butt off in there. Transportation, public transportation is a big job here. Like jeepney drivers, tricycle drivers, bus drivers, and now they even have the motorcycle drivers, like a motorcycle taxi. I haven't seen it up here too much, but in Manila, they're all over the place, and you can take a motorcycle taxi for like half the price of a taxi. They have Grab motorcycles, 3 or 4 different companies that do it. I've definitely done that a lot in like Africa. They call them bodas, and I actually did it just recently in Bali. I took a motorcycle taxi after I dropped off my scooter from where I picked it up, and it's definitely dangerous. And I've read about some crazy accidents in Manila already with motorcycle taxis, but it's a good fun option, if you don't want to go through the trouble. Sometimes it takes longer to get a cab and everything. But anyway, most of the Filipinos, they get up early, they work hard for a few hours, and then like a lot of time, like the construction guys, I'll see them, napping, in the shade for a few hours in the middle of the day. Farmers too, and they eat a lunch, probably a lot of rice, and then they get back at it, in the afternoon when it's getting a little cooler out, 2 or 3 o'clock or something like that. The tricycle drivers, they just go all day. I think they just take a lunch whenever they want, but tricycle driving is huge. Another thing is delivery driving here. Since Amazon delivers here now, Lazada, Chime, and there's one other one, Shopee. I mean, you get stuff delivered from anywhere. I mean, you get Amazon, you get stuff delivered from the US, and they just come on a motorcycle and drop it off. Lazada, I just ordered a phone case from there. They're COD, so it's cash on delivery. So, when I first started ordering stuff to be delivered, I was worried about if it was going to get here or whatever. But if you do it COD, you don't have to pay till it gets here. So it's a no-brainer, basically. The Filipinos, they'll sleep and then go back to work, and then at night they'll have, and even in the morning, Filipinos usually have breakfast together. They have coffee together. Whenever I'm walking by my neighbors and I see them and they're having coffee or eating, they have this tradition. They say, "Let's eat." That's inviting you to eat or have coffee with them. A lot of times you just have to say no because you already ate or whatever. But they're super, super friendly like that. Super accommodating. So back to a Filipino's day, after a long day of work, they'll usually, have dinner with their family. Some of the adobo or tinola or, sinulog, I think it's called. Is it like a pork soup? And there's a million things they eat. Of course, all of it's with rice. Now they have a tradition here. I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's called Bayanihan. It means community spirit. It means like being together. Filipinos, much, much more than Americans, are into being together, like not just families, but there's so many festivals and parties. So like this time of year, January, February, the small town I live in, it's called festival season. Every night there's a carnival, there's vendors selling sweets and treats and all kinds of stuff, and just everybody's out on the streets. It's a really cool atmosphere. They have basketball tournaments, which is each barangay. A barangay is a neighborhood here. Sometimes I'll just go down and watch the basketball. They're usually high school age guys playing. But each barangay is a neighborhood, and each barangay has their own team with uniforms, and they have like a tournament this time of year. It's all night games because it's so hot during the day. But there's a nice basketball court right downtown that where they have the tournaments. It's just a couple blocks from here. And then again, there's vendors selling stuff. There's a bunch of people there. All the kids are there to watch. It's they look up to the basketball players, the younger kids. It's really cool. So I know you see a lot of the expats on here talking down about the Filipino culture, how the families depend on each other, and sometimes how they treat expats and expect expats to give them all kinds of money and stuff. But when they take you into the family and you're part of the family, everybody takes care of each other. That's kind of the way their culture is. Like I've spoken about before, is like the oldest daughter is usually responsible, especially if the father's not around anymore, which is common here. A lot of the men die young. The oldest daughter is responsible for getting the rest of the kids through school. Like that's financially and everything else. So family is everything to Filipinos, which, has its good and its bad parts. Like I said, the bad parts, like the crab mentality, I've talked about that before. It's also, a beautiful thing to watch from the outside looking in. So as far as my day, I'll go to the gym, maybe come back, work on some videos. I'm also teaching myself how to code right now. I just started that while I was in Bali. I'm the type of person who's always trying to learn stuff. There's actually a good website if any of you guys, I know what you're saying. I'm too old to learn how to code, but I feel like I'm never too old to do anything. So, but there's a freecodecamp.org. You can learn to code on there. It's completely free. It's introductory, like HTML. They call that front end engineering. They use all this fancy language in IT, but it's just basically, it's designing a web page using the language of HTML, basically. So I've been doing that the last few weeks. So I'll carve out an hour a day for that. And then, come around late afternoon, me and Charisma will have coffee on the front porch when it's nice and cool out. And then we'll do whatever, sometimes that's the time I usually go for a walk, and she'll like clean the house or do something for herself. I'll go for a walk for a couple hours. I'll get back around 7, dark, and she'll be making dinner. Almost always a local food, not consisting of rice these days, but like adobo, fried fish. We just got an air fryer because it's healthier to use, and also because of her endometriosis, she's not supposed to eat as many fried foods. So we're gonna start air frying a lot of stuff, and then we'll hang out in the evening, talk. We don't have a TV right now. Sometimes we will watch some Netflix on the computer before bed. We'll talk, play with the animals. And I know I've had guys on my channel saying, "Oh, your life's so boring" and stuff like that, but I don't find it boring. And plus, every couple of weeks we'll take a trip to the beach, spend a couple nights there. It's cheap to buy, to get an Airbnb beach cabana for a couple nights and spend a couple nights at the beach is about 60 kilometers from here. But we are moving south, closer to Manila, to a much more congested area, just because Charisma, when I go back to work in a few months, 3 months, I go back to work. Charisma, with her endometriosis, she wants to be near her sister, and that's where her sister lives. And we just rented a place down there that is smaller than this, but it's right next to her sister's house. So if there is another emergency, her sister's right there to take care of her. I mean, her mother lives close to here, but it's about 45 minutes away, and it's on a farm in Nueva Era, and her mom doesn't have really any transportation besides public transportation. So if something happens in the middle of the night here, like it did the last time, there's not really, any way. Like I had to take her on a tricycle to the hospital, and I had to wake up the neighbor to get him to start up his tricycle and take us. Out here in the province, there's no transportation after 8 o'clock. I mean, I have a motorcycle, but obviously if somebody's, sick or whatever, like with her, there was no way she was riding on the motorcycle. So we're moving to La Union, and I'll make a video about that. That's not till February 1st, or I have this place rented February 1st till February 15th. So sometime in that window, I'm going to rent a truck, pack our stuff in there. I've accumulated some stuff since I've been living here the past 3 years, 3.5 years. Anyway, stand by for that. And I just wanted to give my subscribers and people who watch my channel an idea of how life is in the Philippines, what a daily routine is like. And, it's different for everybody. I know a lot of expats like to go out drinking at bars and stuff. I don't really drink, so that's not really on my agenda. And I don't even know if there's a bar in town here where I live. But obviously you could drink at home if you want. But, the Surgeon General in the U.S. just made a law where you have to put warnings on alcohol bottles, because there's conclusive evidence now that alcohol can lead to cancer. 20 years ago or so, they were saying that a glass of wine or 2 beers a day is probably good for you. Well, they threw that out the window now. And I know it's always changing what's good for you. The whole eggs were bad for you, butter was bad for you. Now eggs good for you, and butters and fats are good for you too. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me ramble on. Go ahead and like, subscribe, comment. I got tons of comments on my video about my ex-Filipina girlfriend that got pregnant. I appreciate all you guys that commented. Not so much the guys that say I'm like a simp and all that stuff. You have no idea who I am, but it's the internet. Anyway, like, subscribe, comment. If you guys want to support my channel, you could buy me a coffee. That's linked down in the description down below. It's $5. Of course, nobody's obligated to buy me a coffee, but if you feel extra generous and you want to help out the channel, that's one way I buy equipment and stuff. I do appreciate that I have 2,559, I think, subscribers as we speak. You don't make money on YouTube until you have 100,000 subscribers. I mean, make real money. I make, I'll tell you what I make right now off my channel. It's like $20 a month or something like that. And for the amount of work I put in, most people wouldn't do it. But, you know, it's fun for me, and it's like a weekly digest for me. You know, I could get my opinions and stuff out there on the internet. I know a lot of people don't want to hear my opinion, but you don't have to watch. Okay, thanks, guys. See you next time.